Hello, my name is Caitlyn Conwell. I am in Comms 1301, and this is my self-intro speech. I grew up with speech delay, which forced me at a young age to learn the value of communication, and it also affected my perception of language, and it taught me how to listen, how to observe, and how to learn from what you hear in a conversation. This came to affect how I behave in relationships now in present day. If I meet somebody new, I tend to step back and observe how they communicate so I can adapt myself to fit them. And this, I believe, has made me a more self-reflective person, which I believe is represented in the bag that I chose to draw. I drew a potted plant resting on top of books, which I believe represents my reverence for things that help me reflect, like nature and literature. And reflection is an essential tool for communication, and I will be going over this in the course of 3 main points, which include saturated self versus relational self, view of self, and becoming a better listener. Self is an essential source of reflection because it's the first step in personal growth and improved communication. To begin, there are 2 different types of self, and these can be found described in Chapter 2, page 47 of Communication Age. And these are described as saturated self, being an individual identity, being molded by other people's views, and relational self being the adaptation of your personality based off of whoever you're with. I personally identify more with relational self because I adapt my language and my behavior and my appearance to fit whoever I'm with. For example, if I'm meeting a more social etiquette, more orientated person, I'll wear more elegant earrings. But if I'm hanging out with people my age, I'll wear goofy earrings, like ducky earrings. And these kind of examples can impact how other people see us, but also how we see ourselves in relation to other people. And this brings me to the 8 levels of interpretation, which can also be found in Chapter 3, page 68 and 69 of Communication Age. I'll go through them very quickly. The 8 levels are as follows. Content, which is information contained in messages. Speech act, which is actions performed through speech. Episode, which is the use of previous experiences to determine behavior. Relationship, considering relationships to determine action. Self, view of self which determines the course of action. Culture, a set of rules for acting and speaking. Coordination, rules that guide people through interactions. And finally, mystery, which is communication that cannot always be obtained by the situation. I find self relates more to my life because I see myself as more of an introvert, and that perception of myself affects my willingness to go to interactions. And the object I've chosen to represent this is books. I would rather enjoy my hobbies by myself rather than enjoy them with other people because I see myself as a more introverted and withdrawn person. And this view of self can often reflect how good of a listener you are in social gatherings as well. If you're more orientated on what's going on inside your head, you're more likely to think of what you can get out of a conversation, but recognizing this problem can help you become a better listener. Becoming a better listener begins with the acronym HURIER, which can be explained in Chapter 5, page 124. HURIER stands for hearing, understanding, remembering, interpreting, evaluating, and responding. Understanding and remembering go hand in hand, and it's often the most important in a situation. If you're hanging out with your friend and they're trying to connect with you about the horrible day at work they had, and you're trying to listen, understand, and remember, making a personal connection with what they're saying will help you do that. So if they're talking about their horrible day at work, think of a time you had a horrible day at work. And that can help you make a deeper connection and a deeper understanding to what's being said, which helps you retain it better. And my object that represents this are my earbuds. Often earbuds can construe a more self-interested appearance, but by taking out earbuds and listening to what's going on around you, you can build a healthier form of communication and more effectively. I will close with a quote by Nat Turner. Nat Turner, for those of you who don't know, is a slave who lived in the early 1800s and led a rebellion against the American slave system, which ended in a massacre of over 200 people and led to more intense legislation prohibiting the freedom of African Americans in the South. He was a man who understood the value of connection between people and how that perception of each other can cause or ease tension. He said that communication is the bridge between confusion and clarity. And the last object I've chosen to convey that message is a pen. I find that drawing that connection between people through language, whether it is either written or spoken, broadens and deepens communication as a whole. Thank you.